All right, we're going to get started.
Thanks, Jim.
Welcome to the Murray City Council meeting for Tuesday, October 3rd. If you've got cell phones, please put them on silent, and we'll move right along. I've asked Chad if you'd lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We've got two sets of we have two sets of minutes to approve tonight. One from the council meeting of September 5th, 2017, and one from our special meeting on the 19th. I can take them together separate. Either way.
I'll move that we take them together. So I move that we approve minutes from September 5th and September 19, 2017.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is special recognition. We have two of them. First one is to consider a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring October 8th to 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week. We have Mayor Camp, Chief Rodriguez, and Mike Dykeman are all presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We will first hear from Battalion Chief, Assistant Chief, Dykeman, to talk about Fire Prevention Week activities, and then I'll read the resolution.
The Murray City Fire Department, under the leadership of Chief Rodriguez, is built upon a solid foundation of our administration, our operations, fire suppression, medical and emergency response, and fire prevention. Kind of a three-legged stool, if you will. The mayor, the council, and the various city departments all support our fire prevention efforts in the Murray City Fire Department. As the fire marshal, I'm fortunate to have a staff that's committed to fire prevention and fire prevention activities year-round. Deputy Fire Marshal Pat Killian, who is celebrating with his wife her birthday tonight, so he's not here, has 20 years of fire department service. And part-time Deputy Fire Marshal George Zaboral, who is here, also has an equal amount of service with Midvale Fire and currently serves full-time with Unified Fire out of Midvale City. So really fortunate to have that staff that we work 24/7 related to fire prevention. We work really closely with the Public Services Department in fire prevention, and our activities include new project plan reviews, construction inspections, new business license inspections, fire sprinkler and fire alarm system plan reviews and inspections. The fire department conducts routine business fire inspections as well as fire hydrant maintenance and inspections. Also, our public education efforts. We teach first aid, CPR classes, CERT classes. Those all fall under the responsibility of fire prevention and the fire department. The efforts of fire prevention kind of leverage taxpayers' dollars. Although it's really difficult to measure how good of a job we do, I can tell you this: it's much more cost-effective to prevent a fire than to respond to a fire and to cover the loss of life and the loss of property. So I think the citizens are really well served by our fire prevention efforts. Without the support of the mayor and the council, none of this would be possible. And I think it is, we're really viewed as the authorities on fire prevention, and we take our job very seriously. And we really appreciate you recognizing and celebrating Fire Prevention Week with us this year. As part of our activities, and this is out on the website, we're just inviting people to come tour our stations. Our stations are beautiful, they're fun, the kids love it. Anymore, you can't just drop into the fire station and expect to find us there. We're busy. So there's instructions on the website to contact the headquarters station. We can arrange for tours, not just for Fire Prevention Week, but all through the year. But we really tend to, in October, get a lot of tours. So we just invite people to take advantage of that. Come tour our fire stations.
Thanks, Chief. So I'll read the resolution, joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring October 8th through 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week. Whereas Murray City is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting the city, and whereas U.S. fire departments responded to 365,500 home fires in 2015, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and whereas U.S. home fires resulted in 2,560 civilian deaths in 2015, representing the majority of all U.S. fire deaths, 78%. And whereas newer homes are built with lightweight materials that burn faster than older home construction, and whereas many of today's products and furnishings produce toxic gases and smoke when burned, making it impossible to see and breathe within moments. And whereas these conditions contribute to a much smaller window of time for people to escape a home fire safely, with people having as little as 1 to 2 minutes to escape from the time the smoke alarm sounds. And whereas a home fire escape plan provides the skill set and know-how to quickly and safely escape a home fire situation. And whereas a home fire escape plan includes 2 exits from every room in the home, a path to the outside from each exit, smoke alarms in all required locations, and a meeting place outside where everyone in the home will meet upon exiting. And whereas home fire escape plans should be developed by all members of the household, and whereas practicing a home fire escape plan twice a year ensures that everyone in the household knows what to do in a real fire situation. And whereas Murray City's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and whereas Murray City residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, excuse me, especially in their homes, and whereas the 2017 Fire Prevention Week theme, Every Second Counts, Plan 2 Ways Out, effectively serves to educate the public about the vital importance of developing a home fire escape plan with all members of the household and practicing it twice a year. And now, therefore, we, the Mayor and Murray City Municipal Council, do hereby declare the week of October 8th through 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week throughout our community, and resolve to urge all people of Murray City to develop a home fire escape plan with all members of their household and practice it twice a year. And we encourage participation in the many public safety activities and efforts of Murray City's fire and emergency services during Fire Prevention Week 2017. And that is the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. And having read that, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll move to adopt the joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring October 8th through 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Turner, a second by Mr. Hales. Any discussion on the motion? Jennifer, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. It's a really pleasure to be able to stand here and present this to Chief Dykeman and Chief Rodriguez. Having stood here at this podium myself making this presentation in previous years as a representative of the fire department, and the message is the same, and we have to keep telling it over and over and over again, but it's something that we really want to drive home to our citizens, that how important it is to be able to react in the event of a fire. So with that, Chief Dykeman, I'll present with you the resolution.
Thank you.
And I would quick weigh in on that. I 2 years ago, I got to experience in an elected official's fire training. I saw how quickly the fire can go from, boy, this is interesting, to, oh, we're going to die. And it was literally the snap of a finger when it just exploded on us. And I've got the melted gear still to show for it. So it is serious. If you have a fire, get out. You could talk about it later, but get out. So thank you. Next item.
Thank you.
Is another special recognition. It is to consider a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring October 16th to the 20th, 2017 as Substance Abuse and Violent Prevention Campaign. Your future is key, so stay drug-free. And Mayor, I have down Mayor Camp and Deb Ashton presenting. Welcome, Deb.
Hey, thank you. Once again, I'll turn some time over to Deb and to Darren, thank you, sorry, to make the presentation.
Council members, we appreciate your time tonight, and I've just got a handout here looking at the SHARP survey data, and we share the information every year around this time for our campaign, and its use rates, and students in 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grades participate in the survey. So I'm going to, actually, I'll just pass these around. Okay, great. Put you to work there, so I appreciate that. Once you receive this information, I want to note that use rates, substance use rates in Utah are lower than the national average, so we're really doing pretty well here. But it's astounding to take a look at Murray use rates compared to the state average. So you can see that the #1 substance that's being used and abused, it's e-cigarettes. And so the grades are listed up top, and we're at 14.3 compared to the state at 8.6. Wow. As you move down that column, you can see that marijuana use is pretty high in that students report in the district. Alcohol use, we've added some new categories to highlight, even though the report is extremely detailed, with binge drinking, riding with a drinking driver, prescription drug use, gang involvement, being bullied on school property, and then also a very important area to look at are the depressive symptoms. Students that report feeling sad and hopeless for 2 weeks or more, and then the last column there, students who have attempted suicide at least once during the past 12 months. It's very unfortunate. Last year in the school district, 2 students took their life. And we're really battling this with a lot of social media and different influences that students, are taking in and not really being able to process. So it's important that we talk about these issues and also balance that with teaching students resiliency skills, how to problem solve, how to not get involved in some of these areas that their life will just spiral down, and that they can recognize that there's always help available. So we're helping our educators, social workers, and really hoping that parents get more involved in this. As you remember last year, and we're involved with our underage drinking prevention campaign with Parents Empowered. And at the bottom of this chart, when it's the parents, it's the perceived parental acceptability. When students feel like their parents think that underage drinking is very wrong, 4.5% of the students will use. If students feel like, whether the parent is saying it directly to them, that it's wrong, very wrong to just wrong, goes up to 25.6%. And as you can see, when parents say it's not wrong at all, we're really into the area where students are having difficulties with that. So we've got a lot of work to do with risk factors and problem behaviors to help students feel more confident to make healthy choices. On the back side of this, there's the graph that you can just kind of see.
Question,
yes,
we go back on that. On the attempted suicides, you said we had 2 this past year. Do we know what drove those individuals to that? I know there's different things, but is there any one thing that you're finding?
Well, the research really states that the depressive symptoms that people, students, adults who have a mental health disorder, untreated or misdiagnosed or untreated, are 90% more likely to attempt or take their own life. So I think, students are really reporting that feeling helpless and hopeless, and that is connected to the mental health issues when they feel like this is the only answer to their problem. And I have to say, on a side note, especially for the parents that are here and all of us that are parents, there's a Netflix show that's out, The 13 Reasons Why, and a lot of the experts in the state and even in the nation are seeing, a higher rate of attempts because we have really young kids, elementary school, watching the show and not getting, assistance and support from their parent. They don't know how to process that. And of course, Hollywood really glamorized that. So a lot of, that's pretty rampant with our students, that's kind of the thing to watch. And so we're really battling, that kind of media piece. But then mental health issues are definitely in the mix. And I thinking about back on the students who took their lives, there were some of those components with that.
Thank you.
As well.
Let me ask, Councilman Hales had a question. I've got one on the gang involvement. Are you saying that 28% or 20, whatever that is, I can't read it very well, of the high school are involved in gangs?
So that column, because we've got it 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th, and then all grades combined. So our students are reporting that there is some association, affiliation, and we just had a meeting with administrators today, and some of our elementary schools are saying, we can see, the clothing, the signs, some of the things that indicate that. But here's another section, students that are really involved in that. But the other section, students who are not successful in school, academic failure, low commitment to school, we're talking not attending school consistently, failing grades, those kind of risk factors guide students a lot of the time to make those choices that aren't wise.
Well, so you're telling me 1 in 4 are gang related?
So students, and again, these are the students reporting this, and there's this 2% error rate. But yes, they are saying that they have some involvement with the gang.
Wow.
And probably our police department, would be able to speak to that. We know that, Murray, we kind of feel like we're insulated. There's quite a gang problem at Cottonwood, Hillcrest. We're trying to hit that prevention and early intervention. But it is here in the community, and a lot of the students, come from families when the parents are involved in a gang. So there are those risk factors that we're really trying to help the students with.
Thank you.
Astounding, though. I know. Yes.
I'm just going to interject, Councilman, if I can maybe help answer. I'm
Yes.
the Student Services Director, Darren Dean. I work with Deb Ashton, who's our
Right.
Prevention Coordinator. The administrators, as we met today, some of them had questions about this number too. So I'm going to want to go back and look at that
Yeah.
question that was asked to bring that high of a number, because I'm not.
Would you? Yeah.
I definitely will.
Thank
but
you.
That being said, we do know, like Deb said, there is gang affiliation, there is gang involvement. We were fortunate enough to receive a grant recently, and we're partnered with Unified Police Department to do intervention and prevention efforts in our schools. But let me get back to you on that.
Would you? I'd really appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank
certainly.
you. Appreciate it.
So just one other thing very quickly. On the back, you can see the graph that just is a different type of illustration of the most commonly abused substances. And I think the last 2 pages were really looking at the best practice prevention principles, so that in the school district, and there are community prevention principles that really are research-based, and it's the way we want to help our students and our families in the community. And just for one example, we do want to highlight, the harmful effects of substances, but really balance that with those resiliency skills and helping students engage in school, engage in other activities that are pro-social. But this is just kind of a nice review of what those prevention principles are. What doesn't work, that we know from the research, just saying no, scare tactics, there's definitely research that helps guide our efforts. So, Any other questions on the data?
Questions? Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd just
Okay.
like to thank you for the presentation, Deb, and it's always good to see you and have you here. And I really enjoy the partnership that we have with the school district. So
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a resolution.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. We appreciate the partnership that we have with the school district. And I'll read the resolution. A joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring October 16th through 20th, 2017 as Substance Abuse and Violence Prevention Campaign. Your future is key, so stay drug-free. Be it resolved by the Mayor and the Municipal Council of Murray City as follows. Whereas National Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in the United States during the Substance Abuse and Violence Prevention Campaign, and whereas the National Drug-Free Federation of Parents and Youth are coordinating the prevention campaign in a united effort in the state of Utah during October 16th through 20th, 2017, and whereas students, parents, and community members will identify the harmful effects of substance abuse and implement healthy life skills and strategies to promote the theme, your future is key, so stay drug-free. And whereas students and parents and community members will recognize problem behaviors associated with substance abuse and violence, such as child abuse and domestic violence, delinquency and law enforcement involvement, school dropout and unemployment, teen and behavior health issues, or health and behavior health issues, teen pregnancy. Whereas, and most importantly, the focus of our campaign is to identify healthy coping skills, school, family, community supports, and resources to promote protective factors and decrease problem behaviors. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that we, the Mayor and Murray City Municipal Council, do declare and support October 16th through 20th, 2017 as Substance Abuse and Violence Prevention Campaign. Your future is key, so stay drug-free. Mr. Chairman, that is the resolution.
And I will entertain a motion to adopt.
I make a motion that we adopt the joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring October 16th through the 20th, 2017 as Substance Abuse and Violence Prevention Campaign. Your future is key, so stay drug-free.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Nick Ponsky and a second by Mr. Hales. Any discussion on the motion? Jennifer?
aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, council members, and Deb and Darren, thank you for being here this evening and for your great presentation. So let me present this to you.
Okay, I don't see any scouts here to recognize, so we will move on to citizen comments. Again, comments are limited to 3 minutes, and we do not have a public hearing scheduled, so yes, sir. If you'll come to the podium. Give us your name.
My name is Phil Staggs. I live at 372 East Holstein Way in Murray, a fairly new resident in the area. I don't know how many people here are familiar of a new contract that's coming out when people buy a home. It's called the Real Estate Purchase Contract, and by the real estate people it's known as REPC, is the abbreviation for it. New contract is coming into effect. It started as of September 1, but it is optional, but it has mandatory as the first year. I went to a course on that, and it was given by a real estate attorney who presented the course. And during that time, there was one particular part of that contract I believe it should be brought to attention of every homeowner, especially homeowners who ever intend to do an improvement within their home. I gave a copy of to each person. It's on page 3. I just gave a very brief of. If you'll turn to that page that I send out, and it's down there. It says it's section 7, where it calls about seller disclosure. It's under J, and I will read that and then maybe make a comment about that. Written notice of any claims or conditions known to seller relating to environmental problems and building or zoning code violations. And I emphasize the latter part. I moved up here about 3 years ago from Texas, and my son's house was unfinished, the basement. I finished it out for him. I flip homes occasionally. When we did, the first thing my son did was go down to the city and get a permit so we could be inspected. And I'm thankful we did, because the fire inspector, when the inspector came, he presented to us new codes for fire protection in the basement area, which I was not aware of. And so we fulfilled that. What is happening here, I asked the attorney this question here. I says, okay, it talks about problems of building zone violations. What does that mean? I asked the attorney. He says, we don't know yet, but possibly when a buyer is getting the home, making an offer to the seller, they now have the right, if their basement was unfinished and they moved in and they finished the basement, they now have the right to ask if he had building permits. So what does that mean? He said, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen down the road. But I foresee that that's going to cause a problem to those people who move into a house with unfinished basements or improvement areas, do not get a permit. They have no electrical or plumbing inspection. They have no other safety inspection. They just go ahead and build it according to their design. And then later on they try to sell it. And then this buyer is asking for permission for them to show that they had inspections on that so that home is safety. I flipped a house just about 8 months ago. The person who did the electrical work on that, the guy should have been put in jail. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Richard Krangle, 1628 East Vine Street. I have 3 significant concerns. One is that I would encourage and request of the council to introduce a resolution and a notice of meeting as soon as possible regarding the sidewalks that need to be replaced and put in various areas of Murray. In particular, along Vine Street, there are long stretches in there where there are no sidewalks, and pedestrians are subjected to walking the roadways. Between Van Winkle and 13th East, there are 3 churches and 2 schools, including Cottonwood, which is close by. And those pedestrians walking to and from schools and churches are subjected to the perils of walking in the roadways. I ask, what will it take before sidewalks are put in that area? Will it take the death of children and adults in order to respond properly? Secondly, independent but overlapping, is a request for a resolution for an audit of the finances regarding the canal trail. Secondly, a legal review of all of the compliance issues relevant to the legality of the canal trail. The accounting itself, on its face, appears to be highly irregular. The first meeting that I attended indicated that there was a grant given by UDOT to Murray for approximately $250,000. That suddenly ballooned up to a request for $909,000. Then, within 2 weeks, it was quickly reduced to something in the neighborhood of $500,000. I request strongly that there be a review and an audit of this entire transaction before any funds are allocated. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. There is no consent agenda. Public hearings or unfinished business scheduled. First item of new business is to consider a resolution approving the mayor's appointment of D. Blair Camp as the city's representative to the Utopia Telecommunications Open Infrastructure, or the Utah Telecommunications Open Infrastructure Agency, also known as Utopia. Mayor.
Thank you. As you know, Mayor Iyer was a representative for the city on the Utopia board. With his passing and my now serving as interim mayor, we are just requesting that I go ahead and be appointed to the Utopia board to replace Mayor Iyer.
Okay. Any questions on that? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the resolution approving the mayor's appointment of D. Blair Camp as the city's representative to the Utah Telecommunication Open Infrastructure Agency, also known as Utopia.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Jennifer.
Aye.
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 Aye. Next item is to consider a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County to provide for up to $132,590 of the county transportation funds to be used to reimburse the city for certain costs incurred to construct a bike lane on city roads. Doug.
Thank you, Doug Hill, Public Services Director. The city applied for and received a grant, as Mr. Brass indicated, for designing bike lanes on 700 West, Murray Boulevard, and 500 West from basically the north end of the city to the south end of the city, and also to install, once the design is complete, to install bike lanes on the section between 5400 South and 6400 South. So the agreement that is before you tonight is with the county to receive these funds. The funds are to reimburse the city for costs associated with the design and construction of those bike lanes. And so if you approve this, I'll ask our finance director, the city finance director, Denise Steck, to include this in a upcoming budget opening so we can start this project, and then when completed, request the funds as a reimbursement from Salt Lake County.
Thank you. Any questions for Doug? Okay, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County, otherwise referred to as county, to provide for up to $132,590 of the county transportation funds to be used to reimburse the city for certain costs incurred to construct a bike lane on city roads.
I'll second that.
Sorry. Okay, we have a motion in a couple of seconds. Any discussion on this motion? All right, Jennifer.
Aye.
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 Aye. And finally, consider a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city of Midvale City to work cooperatively with regard to stormwater detention in the Bingham Junction detention area. Again, Doug.
Garbett Homes is working with the city to build approximately 125 single-family residential homes in the southwest part of Murray City on the border between Murray City and Midvale. The development will require any stormwater that is collected on the roads and driveways and rooftops to drain into the city's storm drain system. But the city's, because of the geography of the area, the city's system needs to drain into the Midvale storm drain system and into a detention basin that is currently owned and maintained by Midvale City. So this is an agreement between Murray City and Midvale City, which will allow the stormwaters collected from Murray, particularly this development, to go into the Midvale system. And the agreement also spells out the cost-sharing relationship based on the amount of water that comes from Murray, which is 32% of the water will come from Murray City. Then Murray City will be responsible for any maintenance costs or improvement costs on that storm drain system up to 32% of those costs. So that's what you're considering tonight, is the approval of this agreement, which will allow the water then to be taken care of from this development.
Thanks, Doug. Any questions for Doug on this item?
No, we already talked about it in committee of the whole, so thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt the resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Midvale City to work cooperatively with regard to stormwater detention in the Bingham Junction detention area.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And Jennifer, if you would.
Aye.
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 Aye. And finally, report of the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of things to bring to your attention this evening. Excuse me. First of all, for your information, there will be demolition beginning very soon on multiple properties in the redevelopment area between 4th and 5th Avenue, that properties that the city owns. The Planning Commission approved this 2 weeks ago, and the work is scheduled to begin very soon on that. Also, for your information, City Hall will host, once again, be a host for early voting location, and that will begin October 25th, and the hours will be from 3 to 7 p.m. It's shortened a little bit from before, so just so you're aware of that. Also, if you're out walking on the Jordan River Parkway Trail, enjoying the colors of the leaves starting to change and the cool air out there, you will notice that the Salt Lake County Watershed Planning Department has installed 5 educational sign panels at various locations on the Parkway Trail. They were installed last week. They're educational about the river and the environment, and so look for those when you're out walking. The signs are sturdy and should be resistant to all kinds of weather, so we'll see how they hold up. But we do have some pictures of them that we can send you to, but it's more healthy if you go out and walk. So.
Yeah.
Mark your calendars. The Murray Park Amphitheater public art piece will be unveiled on Saturday, August 21st. There'll be a brief open house from 1 to 3 p.m., or I should say there'll be an open house from 1 to 3 p.m. with a brief program at 1:15 for the unveiling. So we want to invite you to that.
What was the date?
What did I say?
August.
Oh, no, it's, yeah. Thank you. Just want to see if you were listening.
Always.
It is October 21st. I wondered why the look there. Okay, October 21st. Also, the annual pumpkin races will be held west of the Park Center on Friday, October 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. This is always a fun time to be out there for the pumpkin races, so if you have time to stop by there, 6 o'clock on Friday the 13th. And then finally, the methane plant at the Transjordan landfill had a fire last week. Those of you that have been there know that there are 3 Caterpillar engines. The third engine caught fire. An employee was there at the time and was able to extinguish the fire, but not before there was a fair amount of damage done to the building and also some smoke damage. The employee was treated for smoke inhalation but is okay. But as a consequence, the plant will be down for about 3 to 5 weeks before it'll be back up and operational. The good news for us is that we only have a contract for power purchase, so there's no financial impact on the city except for the loss of the power sale. So it'll be minimal. So with that, that's my report.
Any questions for the mayor? Well, seeing none, we have no further business, so we will stand adjourned. Thank you all.